Marvel Superheroes is upon us, ready to bloat the Magic the Gathering card pool yet again with an unnecessary amount of legendary creatures and unfitting cards. Not for the first time, definitely not the last. The product lineup is quite plentiful again, but I'm here to give you options for the commander decks. Something to buy from your local singles vendor. Instead of buying the Marvel commander decks, I present to you 3 Marvel themed commander decks with no Universes Beyond cards in them. Avengers Assemble, Marvel Supervillains, and Infinity War. If you're into the new set and going to buy products anyway, I don't want to spoil your fun. I hope you enjoy the set even if I personally can't get behind it. Perhaps you can find things here to add to your Marvel decks from Magic's past. Let's dive into the first one. Avengers Assemble, commanded by Garth One-Eye, representing Nick Fury. The first deck focuses around the cast of characters from the first MCU Avengers film. We have Tony Stark, the renowned weaponsmith who nearly meets his maker and is captured, forging his first suit in a cave. Mr. Stark is represented with a few different characters, starting with Ral, is it Viceroy, wearing his Pyromancer's gauntlet, shooting a blast from his hand. Also including Urza, Prince of Krug, so he can make his suit stronger and to animate his suits and the parts he's not wearing. Helped out of course by his loyal, brass secretary, Jarvis. The most important part of course is showing Iron Man in his full glory. And we have more parts for the suit. Torch gauntlet, cranial plating, and some options for the whole suits themselves. Although out of these you can consider leaving dark steel plate to be used with Black Panther later for his vibranium armor. And this being an Avengers Assemble deck, we could not leave out Gempom Avenger. Though Tony Stark is a questionable fit for the Avengers initiative, it is God's duty to recruit the worthy, in order to form the most righteous Avengers. To assemble them together, or you could say, to rally the righteous. And perhaps the most righteous of the recruits is Captain America. In addition to Dennick here, Cap is being represented by Gideon, as well as this specific printing of Inti. Cap of course has to be equipped with his shield, the protector that he is. And after Cap we meet Thor, the god of thunder. There are a few other cards to represent him as well, and of course a few cards for his loyal hammer. Some as equipments and some to represent the damaging power of Thor throwing it around, and summoning it back, and using his powers of thunder. Obviously the Avengers need their skyship, as do they need another scientific mind to match Tony Stark. Bruce Banner, a brilliant man who goes through a grisly transformation, turning from a civilized scholar into a homicidal brute. A real unstable Hulk, and all he knows how to do is smash. We can't forget Black Widow and Hawkeye. Mechanically these guys aren't as fitting for the deck. Perhaps Massacre Girl would be a better fit in place of Liz Alana, but feel free to change whatever you like for your own deck. Together all these heroes are to save the city on fire with conviction to their cause. This deck is probably most balanced of the 3 gameplay wise. Mostly I was looking for cards with thematic value, but this deck has some inkling of a game plan. It combines strong heroes with equipments and has support for the direct damage it deals with flinging spells. It lacks any staples, so to make it a more fluid game experience you may want to chuck out some of the enchantments, Hawkeye and Black Widow, to add some ramp and draw, but we are not here to make complete decks. These are pre-cons that you can start off with and then work on them as you wish. And don't worry, this deck might seem like a working deck-ish, but it gets worse from here. Our next deck is Marvel Supervillains, the least likely of these decks to include fun gameplay experience and the one with the least story, so I'll try to spend less time with this one. The villain of Avengers Assemble, Loki, couldn't fit the previous deck with his Staff of Domination, so I decided to drop him here with the villains. The deck is headed by Omnath, Locus of All, which invokes the feeling of a celestial come to judge the world it is upon. Cosmic beings aren't on display much in this deck, but our version of Galactus, Bygone Colossus, is heralded by the Silver Surfer. Our first Easter egg towards the Infinity War is this Commander Sphere, from which Ronan the Accuser acquired the Power Stone. Now we can finally leave the cosmos and land on Earth with Venom. He needs to grab onto a host to properly survive. However, unfortunately many bodies are too weak to sustain both and don't survive. but once a suitable host is found, they thrive. From a famous Spider-Man villain we get to the Sinister Six. The easiest ones to find were Mysterio and especially Sandman. Many options for him. The toughest one was Doc Ock. On my TikTok and Instagram I had asked for options for Marvel references and Acquisition Octopus was mentioned. I added it in because it fits quite well, but I still wanted to find the tentacles. One where the art of the card feels more like him. But eventually my personal favorite was Rackling. Electro wasn't too difficult. Living Lightning and Lightning Storm can fit the comic version the best, and then Rite of the Raging Storm and Steamcore Scholar fit the look for Amazing Spider-Man 2. For Kraven, Abyssal Hunter was my first choice, but I also wanted to add a few Garrux and Drum Hunter. For Vulture, Inventive Wingsmith was the main one, seemed obvious, but he needed his wings so I added Mandibular Kite, Raven Wings and Wings of Hubris. Hopping Automaton was a good one for Jeff Bridges. Ultron got Noxus Gearhulk, Filigree Vector and Solemn Simulacrum. And RDJ's new role had to be included, so here we go, representation for Doom. Then back to Spider-Man villains. A couple of lizards for the lizard, a couple rhinos for the rhino. Then finally, my favorite, the Green Goblin. Some really good examples and then a perfect one, which was probably straight up influenced by him. To top the deck off, it needs of course a Sol Ring and a Talisman of Dominance. As said, this deck was more of a collection of cards than a working deck. If you need something for bracket 1 table, perhaps you can take it as it is. I realized after how Spider-Man villain heavy this deck was. If I had realized it a little earlier, I might have kept most of the Spider-Man villains, removed a few copies of Sandman and then added a bunch of Spider-Man cards. Non-UB of course. But I quite like having this pile of villains to work with as a base. A base for something, for sure. And finally we get to the Infinity War. The Infinity War deck is mostly inspired by the film version, but I did also include the Fantastic Four in the list. The deck is headed by Joda, Archmage Eternal, taking his place as the Sorcerer Supreme, and I had to include his famous cloak as well. Rather than just being a collection of characters, this deck was built more as a story. It's Thanos' quest for the Holy Relic, a journey of discovery he first sent others on but then embarked himself. Trying to find a way to depopulate the universe, his best chance to do it is to find the Infinity Stones. After witnessing the destruction of Asgard, Thor, Korg and Bruce Banner faced Thanos' wrath. Hulk lost a fight with him and then Thanos executed Loki, leaving all of them brutalized, now holding 2 stones already. The Guardians of the Galaxy rush to get the next stone before their adversary can get to it, but Thanos has caught it already. Thanos then takes Gamora, sacrifices her to gain access to the next stone. His victory is fast approaching. For what seems like the first time, he truly must struggle as he gets confronted by the Guardians assisted by Strange, Iron Man, Spider-Man and Nebula. I feel like I'm forgetting someone. Even together they aren't quite powerful enough to overpower Thanos. At the moment of their defeat, Strange hands Thanos the stone. The supposed final battle arrives at Wakanda, on the Black Panther's doorstep. To oppose Thanos' invasion, to protect the last stone, they take their stand and rally to battle. Bruce Banner can't summon Hulk's strength to help them, so he takes over the Hulkbuster suit. Old enemies now on their side join them. "It's Morbin time," shouted Morbius, right as Thanos entered. Wanda tried destroying Vision, who held the last stone, and managed to, before Thanos got to him. But Thanos stretched time, returning Vision to life, and ripped the Mind Stone from his head, killing Vision once more. At last the gauntlet was finished. Glimmering with the light of all the stones, he took in the power. The victory would be his. Thor thought different. He struck Thanos, nearly killing him. But he should have gone for the head. Now Thanos had his chance to restore balance. Thanos entered the infinite. His goal reached. Half of all was gone. Tony Stark was one of the solemn survivors. He felt the defeat, but soon their despair would be turned. A man known as the Controller of Ants found they can use his technology to trespass through time. They gathered the stones from different places in their past, some requiring grand sacrifice, but they got them all together once again and brought everyone back. Thanos arrived on his ship, Through the grand battle, they maneuvered the gauntlet to keep Thanos from getting it. Thanos got the glove in his hand once again, but Iron Man got to the stones first, and he used them himself. This spelled the inevitable end for Thanos. This deck plays around Yoda and the Fist of Suns, including some strong spells that you get to cast easier with him. A couple cards not mentioned: Darksteel Colossus, Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, both of which can represent Celestials or other destructive threats in the Marvel Universe. Apex of Power and Reshape the Earth can represent the power of the stones. And lastly, Salvation Colossus can be another vision for this deck. This ends the deck reviews. Personally, I would rather see my pod bring out these than any of the Marvel cards. Magic the Gathering is such a vast game that you could roleplay your favorite IPs without ever touching UB products. And I believe that would be more interesting. At least for me, if I want to make a Turtles deck, I'd rather go through the Turtle cards in Magic. Comment if you would like Archidekt links for any of these decks. Or a Moxfield, or any other. Subscribe, like, share if you will. See you later.